So about the process to request a team. Um, so there, to me, there either you do it in self-service mode. So that's by default. Everybody can create a team. That's my personal favorite. But there are some risks. As we can see, that's my personal choice because it brings business autonomy. If I need something, I just create it. If I need a team, I just create it. But on the other side, the risk is there's a potential chaos because if you don't educate well people, you might have people who create duplicate teams, you might have people who create a lot of teams that are not useful, that are dying, or not used. But since there is expiration, maybe it's not a big problem. Might be complicated in a very uh, in an organization where there's a lot of compliance involved. So because you might want to have a better management, and the risk is quite frankly having a sprawl of teams when you do that. That's to me that's bringing the most value to the business if the business is well aware, trained, understand how to use teams, how to leverage teams, and it's not just a self-service. I'm IT. I gave you this tool. Now you figure it out. I think it's a if it works well when you have a good discussion between IT and the business, and if people are aware and trained on how to leverage teams correctly. Um, you can also, and I've seen that a lot of time, automate the creation of team with a workflow. So you don't allow people to create a team per se in Teams. Might have an app that you put in team, which is request a team, and then the end user can, and you can define who can. That's another uh, level of control you can have. But let's say that you have this app enabled to everybody, and it's on the tray on the left in Teams. They click on the app. They have a screen in Teams that asks them a few questions. So the name of the team, what is the purpose of the team, if there are sensitive data in the team, some questions um, to explain why you're trying to create this team, and then you can have a workflow um, that either gonna create the team automatically, so there's no change between with the self-service, but at least there's a workflow to figure out sensitive. Maybe the workflow will not create the team automatically. Maybe it will send an email to the manager to be sure that uh, this is this team is compliant, or if the manager is okay with the creation of this team. So you can create whatever workflow to automate the creation of a team. So it will ease maybe for some teams, it will automate it directly, and from other there will be some control. But what is the beneficial here too is it brings some agility because most of the teams can be created automatically, but it has a better control and trackability. That's definitely what is very interesting here. You can see what kind of teams have been created. You can also automate the prefix, suffix, whatever naming convention by this way. Since you have this step that give you a little bit of control. Um, the pitfall, if I can say that, is you have to develop that. So there's several ways to develop it. I'm not an expert in development, but you can use Power Apps. You can use other framework, and also you can definitely you can um, buy a tool. There are a lot of tools that are doing that. They can be very expensive, but they're very powerful. They can really automate the creation of teams with some workflow, and populate those teams with some patterns, some folders, some channels already there. They have templates of teams that you can populate really quickly. So it can be very powerful. And there's also with coming with those tools, they can track a lot of things. Everything is built in those tools that you don't have to build. So it's a matter of usually how big your organization is. If you have a big organization, you might want to purchase those tools because that will help you to manage this potential sprawl of teams, but in a structured way. There's another way. It's to go through a set of people and allow just a set of people to create a team. So you can say, what I like to do is just allow champions to create a team. So there's at least some people who are owners. So maybe not just champions. Maybe it's champions and managers or specific people that what is important, you just give these people the right to create a team. And I thought there was um, a nice way to be sure that champions don't understand well is to ask them to be certified on teams with, you put a training in place and ask them to follow this training, and if they success this training, then you grant them to be a team's creator. So it's interesting because in this scenario you give responsibility to these people. So first you educate them, but you give them responsibility. So when they create a team, they understand they have some responsibility because they follow this training. So they understand that it's specific profile who can create a team, and with specific rights that comes specific needs to manage a team, be sure that the team is respecting some guidance that you're going to provide generally in terms of, especially in terms of compliance. So that's the benefit. The pitfall might be that if you don't have a good champions team, you will people who want to create a team will depend on those champions. If they're not available, if you don't have time, that might be a bottleneck from some scenario. So it's really a balance. Yes, there's no one solution that brings all the value. And finally, I think one is what usually IT likes, because that's the nature of IT. They like to control things, but you need to be very careful to want to control everything. So there's, organization that are asking people to open a ticket, and IT gonna create manually the team. That's really risky because the business today has to be fast-paced, and they have to react quickly. They have to be able to create their environment quickly. So if everything is going through IT, there will definitely be a bottleneck, and we probably know that IT is already overwhelmed with a lot of work. So why adding that not valuable task to control what people are doing? I think it's better to give the control more to the business so they can take ownership. So Champions is a good compromiser rather than IT, because then it doesn't help IT on any level, because it doesn't help IT. They don't have the time. People are going to complain about IT if they control everything. So it will increase the bad reputation of IT not helping the business. And definitely it's not good for the lack of velocity, because everything will be blocked if IT is overwhelmed on something else. So definitely this kind of discussion, showing the different possibilities, having the discussion with the business and the IT, it has to be a compromise, because IT still wants to have some control, just because for compliance reason or security reason or maybe storage reason. So this discussion needs to happen and find a way. My two favorite one are the self-service or the champions. I will say self-service, you need to have very educated. Small organizations should go with self-service, but larger organizations should go with either champions or automated with workflow. I like champions because that give responsibility to the people. But in some cases, if you don't have a large champions committee, that might be not very satisfying either.